independent.
Yes.
And then at that time, while I was celebrating that moment, the Lord called me into ordained ministry. Of course, like Jonah, I ran away for 4 years.
You didn't take a cruise to anywhere? No.
A cruise. But I ran from the call. But the more I ran, is the more I recognize that this is really what God wants from me. And there are persons who would have sensed the call of God on my life as well. And so, after 4 years, I decided to heed to the call of the Lord. And here I am today.
Wow. So after Church Teachers College, you spent 4 years at Church Teachers College.
3 years.
3 years.
I did a diploma.
And how long did you spend at Bethel Bible College of the Caribbean?
4 years.
4 years. So 7 years of study.
7 years of study. In fact, that was one of the things I said to God. I had a church brother who was training to be a doctor, and I said it made sense I go into that field because it's the same 7 years I'm spending. So I had a challenge with the time and the money. I felt at a point that I'd wasted time going to Church Teachers College and I'd wasted money. But when I went to Bethel, I recognized just how strategic God was in preparing me for where He's taking me.
And it's clear from Shauna-Kay's life that none of our experiences are wasted. God has a way of ordering our steps. So now you are pastoring. My understanding is that you're pastoring one of our historic churches. Tell us about that journey so far. You started when?
I started the 1st of September.
Yes.
At Mount Providence New Testament Church of God. Yes, the oldest church in Jamaica.
That's the oldest New Testament church in Jamaica.
New Testament church,
wow,
right,
wow.
in Jamaica. Yes, it has been rewarding so far. I'm enjoying the journey, and I'm really sensing the move of God and really feeling secured in the call that He has placed on my life. I'm enjoying the journey. The members are enjoying the journey as well.
I was just about to ask you, how were you received? One, being female, and two, visually impaired. Almost as if two things are against you, or are those things against you, really?
Interestingly, they are not against me. They work together for my good.
Okay.
Yes, because one, being a female, they had a female pastor before me. Pastor Harris. She served them for over 20 years.
Oh, I see.
And so they had a good relationship with her and were very excited to have a female pastor.
Yes.
My first time at Mount Providence, when I shared with one of my deacons that I have a visual challenge, he immediately started to look out for me. So he even held my hand and telling me where to go and all of that. So the reception has been good. When I shared it at church, other members start to look out for me and so on. So the reception is really good, and God is moving in our midst.
I'm excited about that, and we couldn't end this conversation without sharing that you are also a poet, and a poet who has produced something for others to be able to feed on. Tell us about this publication that you have produced called Poetic and Epic. Let's talk about that. Yeah, we both hold up your publication, and I hold it with pride. Perhaps your pride is greater than mine.
Right. Right. So Poetic and Epic, where the epic is an acronym which stands for edifying, practical, inspiring, compelling. This piece was birthed out of my love for poetry. It started again at Church Teachers College, where as an early foreign language teacher, I had to come up with creative ways to meet the needs of my students, and poetry was one of such. However, I did not see myself being a poet at the time until in 2014, when I was faced with unemployment. It was there that my love for poetry grew, because poetry gives me new perspective. It shifted my perspective and gave me meaning to life. And so this was where I started now to write poems and to share on social media. And persons would have been saying to me, you need to publish a book. And of course, I would say, yes, one day I will. However, in June of this year, I remember preaching a sermon on internship at Youth Sunday. God has chosen you. And one of the things I've recognized, especially on internship, was that whenever I preached a sermon, I can expect something, whether good or bad, to test the word, as it were, to see if I am really practicing what I'm preaching. Right? And so when I preached that word about God has chosen you from 1 Samuel 16, I remembered I came home and got some rest, and when I woke up, I saw a message from Dr. Smalling. Now, Dr. Smalling, she's the principal of Glenmere High School and an author herself. She would have been exposed to some of my writings, and she said to me, I hope you are planning to put these in a book. And I said to her, yes, confidently, yes, one day I will. But then she asked the question, when? And that when did it for me. And so I began to compile my pieces, and then I came up with this, Poetic and Epic. Its aim is to motivate, to give insight, to teach valuable lessons, to help you to find joy in your journey, value in the rubble, and clarity in the confusion.
Awesome. Is there a particular piece from it that you want to either read or say from memory, any verse from any one of the poems that you want to leave with us?
Sure.
Yes.
COVID Protocols Contemplation by Shauna-Kay Douglas. Lord, as I stand to take my temperature, I ask that you test my temper. Is it too hot, Lord? May my life's reading line up with your word. As my hands are sanitized, reveal those things in me that are disguised. Make me pure in your eyes and remove all those things that could jeopardize my walk with you and another level to rise.
Wow. Indeed, you'll agree with me that this is epic. And I want Shauna-Kay to just say where we can purchase this book, this Poetic and Epic. Where can we get it?
Well, it is available on Amazon. You can get the Kindle version or paperback, or you can message me. I'm on Facebook, Shauna-Kay Douglas, and Instagram at Shauna-Kay Douglas to order your copy.
Oh, awesome. And I'm encouraging persons to support this wonderful servant of the Lord. I'm going to ask Shauna-Kay to leave a word with persons who are facing discouragement, who feel that the odds are against them, who feel that life is throwing stuff at them that they can't manage. Here is a servant of God who has pedaled her way through many difficult journeys because God is with her. Is there a word that you want to leave with the discouraged and the disheartened?
I just want to say to you, trust God. God is our author, and He knows everything that we go through in life. It doesn't matter how it looks now. It won't be stormy all the time. Seasons do change, and our God is the God of all seasons. Another thing I'd like to say to us is that perspective matters, and you can hashtag that on your Facebook and Instagram. Yes, perspective
Please do.
matters. And so while some persons may look on a glass and say it is half full, half empty, some persons are happy. At least they have a glass, right? And so perspective matters. It's not what happens to you, but it's how you react to what happens to you. And so whatever it is that you are faced with, know that God is not finished writing your story. Do not put a comma or a full stop rather where God has placed a comma. He is not through with you yet, and I can assure you that when He's finished writing your story, you will be a bestseller.
Oh, awesome, awesome. Cap that off with a Bible verse that you wanted us to leave with us. Yes.
One of the Bible verses that really stayed with me is from Jeremiah 1 verse 5.
Mm-hmm.
Before I formed in the belly, I knew you. And before you came forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. It's interesting that before we had an opinion of ourselves, before others had an opinion of us, our God knew exactly who we are and where we would be. And so where you are on your journey now, just know that the God who formed you, the God who knew you before you were conceived, has great plans in store for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shauna-Kay, for taking the time to have this conversation with me. I've been inspired by this, and I want to thank those who have joined us. God bless you, and invite others to come and journey with you as you hear again the story of this anointed servant of God, teacher, pastor, preacher, poet, a person whom God has anointed for the task that he has for her. Perhaps God is calling you for something special and you have self-doubt. Remember, before you were thinking of yourself, God already formed an opinion of you. Walk in God's grace and in God's mercy. Thank you for joining us.